This is 20-year equity capital chart of Vodafone and Bharti Limited. And if you can see from here, from 2006 to almost 2017, the equity capital gap was not much. But from post that period, if you see the way equity capital of Vodafone has risen to 33,000 crore, now March 24, 50,000 crore, and post the conversion of government spectrum dues into equity, it has gone to 1 lakh crore, 1 lakh crore, and you can see the gap. So this video उन लोगों के लिए है, ये वीडियो जो वोडाफोन में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, and I'm going to explain you what this gap means for them. See, the equity capital of Bharti is 2,800, let's say around 3,000 crore, and Vodafone from 50,000 now to reaching 1 lakh crore equity capital. और ये वीडियो उन लोगों के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है जो वोडाफोन में बिना बुनियादी स्थिति समझ के निवेश कर रहे हैं. In this video, we'll take a deeper dive into Vodafone's fundamentals. What happens if this company goes bankrupt? Or let's say if tomorrow Adani or somebody else buys it, or government decides to merge it with some other government company. But before that, why are we discussing Vodafone today? Let's understand that first. So now let's look at these news items. Vodafone Idea, 48% stake raise. Government to convert additional rupees 36,000 crore, 36,950 crore dues into equity capital. What will happen to promoters? So Vodafone के जो promoters हैं वो Aditya Birla Group and the UK-based Vodafone PLC. So Vodafone Aditya Birla Group का stake will now be 9%. Vodafone PLC will be 16%, and the government will hold around 49%. So majority of the holding is now with the government. But what will government do this with the company? It's a loss-making company and it has huge accumulated losses. जो इन्वेस्टर के लिए ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि ये कंपनी कल गवर्नमेंट या तो बेच देगी या दूसरी कंपनी से मर्ज कर देगी, और या दिस विल गो बैंकक्रप्ट. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ इम्प्लीकेशन फॉर द इन्वेस्टर्स, स्पेशली द रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स. एंड हम लोग अभी डिस्कस करेंगे तो पहला चार्ट जो था इक्विटी कैपिटल का, द ह्यूज गैप, द भारती एंड उसका. सो विल टॉक अबाउट द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ equity capital and why equity capital matters. Let's go to that chart. So this is a very important chart on how equity capital translate into financial numbers. So we have Bharti Airtel here and we have Vodafone here. Now let's look at the equity capital. Bharti has equity capital of 2,897 crore. It is 2,897. Vodafone equity by March is already 70,000 crores, and very soon this will be 1 lakh crore. Now what this means? This means the 25 Vodafone's equity capital is 25 times of Bharti's equity capital, and tomorrow when it is 1 lakh crore, this will be almost like 40x. And let's look at the number. Balance sheet size और total assets कितने क्रिएट किए हैं दोनों कंपनी ने. भारती ने 2,800 की इक्विटी में 3,50,000 करोड़ के एसेट्स क्रिएट किए हैं, ऑलमोस्ट 100 टाइम्स ऑफ इट्स इक्विटी. Vodafone now with 1 lakh of capital, the assets are 1,185,000, not even double. Here you have 100 times, and here you have 2x. So you can see how important is the equity capital, how both these companies have used their equity capital to generate business. Let's look at subscriber base. Bharti has 38 crore subscribers, Vodafone has 30 crore subscribers, and this is shrinking. The subscriber base of Vodafone का shrink हो रहा है. Now coming to the revenue, इस capital से जब है, how much of revenue they are generating? Bharti generating a revenue of almost 1 lakh crore. Vodafone is 42,382 crore. Now how this is possible? Because in the last 20-30 years, Bharti ने profit दिया है और profit again got redeployed into business, and this is how today they have a revenue base of almost close to a lakh crore. Now let's look at the last one, is the profit part, is the net profit. Bharti makes a profit of close to 5,000 crores every year. Vodafone is into losses, 31,236 crore of losses. Now if you see these parameters, you know how Vodafone is sliding. And let's look at this number into more details, you know, and let's say what will happen to Vodafone tomorrow. Because now government owns the majority stake. So Vodafone का क्या होगा जो लोग Vodafone के शेयर खरीद रहे हैं? And there are some possibilities. So let's go there. So you can see what happens if Vodafone gets acquired by some, let's say, some new player, some new private player, or goes bankrupt. And there are many possibilities, even merging it with another government company. So number one is equity capital is usually reduced or cancelled. When you have a huge equity capital of 1 lakh crore, I mean, अगर इतना dilution है, so return की तो possibility कल है ही नहीं. So very first thing, when a new buyer comes, you know the equity capital gets cancelled. So जो भी investor Vodafone में पैसा लगा रहे हैं, एक बहुत बड़ा threat है कि कल equity reduce हो जाएगी. Now see, if a company is acquired, insolvent, bankrupt, the equity shareholder are the last in line. That I think everybody knows, that we have seen in the IBC or the NCLT cases. सबसे पहले secured creditors आते हैं, a bank or other financial institution. Then comes employees, then come operational creditors, and last man standing is the equity. Second most important part is the new capital getting, you know, restructured. So first one is, let's say the entire capital becomes zero, a new buyer comes, let's take for example Adani, and the existing equity capital gets nothing. The entire equity capital of 1 lakh crore will be zero. This is the first possibility. Second, you know, capital getting new capital structure getting created, and there is maybe a possibility of, let's say, reducing the entire capital into 10%. So 1 lakh crore capital है वो 10,000 crore का हो जाएगा. और let's say out of the entire new capital, that 100%, the existing capital will become 10%. So government will get maybe around 5% and the balance will be for the others. So the Birlas or the Vodafone PLC will get maybe, let's say, 3-4%. Retailers' entire equity is going to be around 1 or 2%. Now, equity shareholder are the one who lose out. So, if you see this slide, whether the equity capital gets reduced or cancelled or, let's say, taken care of, the maximum damage is going to happen to the retail investors. So, retail investors are going to lose. Let's go to the next part. Now here I have put some examples, some past examples. Let's look at the example of Jet Airways. Now, pre-bankruptcy, thousands of crore in equity में थे, and company was making losses. Now suppose the NCLT takeover, what has happened? Equity capital wiped off, 99% equity capital becomes zero. Now looks like the global example, General Motors in 2009, 8-9, you know, the post the global financial crisis. It filed for bankruptcy. Now जो पुराना GM था उसका equity completely cancel कर दिया गया. A new GM was created with the US government and other shareholders. An old GM shareholder got nothing. तो कुछ भी नहीं मिला. जो पुराने shareholder थे, जो buy कर रहे थे उसकी equity stock market में. Let's look at another example. You know, Diwan Housing Finance is a classic example because Diwan Housing Finance had some assets acquired by Pyramid, equity capital cancelled, fresh equity issued, retail equity holder received almost nothing. Now this is a company which had assets in its book. तो इसमें तो कुछ मिलना ही था इक्विटी शेयर होल्डर को, बट यहां भी कुछ नहीं मिला जीवन हाउसिंग में. एंड द फाइनल एग्जांपल इज द लेमन ब्रदर्स व्हिच एवरीबॉडी नोज. Bankruptcy led to complete collapse. Equity shareholder got zero in liquidation. Only creditors were paid, partial amount. So my request to all the retail investors who are investing in Vodafone because of they are getting some tips. This is a tip मिल रहा है. Please don't invest in this company because there is a threat tomorrow of the entire equity getting cancelled. Thank you.